There's a very moving chapter in the Psalms, chapter 130, that we say in the 10 days of between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And there's a verse in that chapter that reads, Ki imcha haslicha leman tivore. We say to God that with you is forgiveness, so that we will fear you. But what does it mean that because God is forgiving, that's why we're going to fear him? It's just the opposite. If a person is a forgiving person, then you don't fear. If someone doesn't forgive, then you fear. What does it then mean? That because God forgives us, that increases our fear in him. The Alter Rebbe answers that with a parable of economics. And he says, let's say a person had a great business opportunity, amazing, and he takes a $100 million loan from the bank and invests in his business, and the whole business goes sour, the whole market crashes, and he loses all the money. Now there's two scenarios. A bank manager comes back to me and says, listen, you owe us $100 million and you have to make payments with interest. And then you don't fear, because you know there's no way for you to pay this amount. It's totally out of your league. So there's no fear. You just mentally give up and you move on with your life, because there's nothing you can do. Then there's another scenario where the bank manager comes to you and he says, look, we all fell on hard times and we all took a big hit. So let's work it out. We will forgive 40% of your loan plus no interest, and let's work out a payment plan. Now you begin to fear because the bank is forgiving you. Now you need to come up with some kind of a payment plan, because you can't betray the bank. The bank is being so generous to you and so nice to you and forgiving. Now on your part, you have to start committing to make some payments. So now you become scared. Says the Alter Rebbe the same thing. When it comes to Yom Kippur, God doesn't ask us for full compensation for all of our wrongdoings and all of our mistakes. God doesn't ask. If God would say, okay, now pay me in full for everything that I gave you and you messed up, then we know that it's too hard for us to pay up, and we would just ignore it and give up. But God comes to us and says, let me meet you halfway. I will forgive you for all of your wrongdoings. Will forgive your debt. But I ask you from now on to be accountable, so that now you start making commitments to change, you do tshuva, and you accept upon yourself to mend your mistakes and become better. Now we begin to fear, because now we have commitments to make. Since God is coming towards us and forgiving us, now we have to do our part and do tshuva and correct our mistakes and live a better, higher life. And that's the meaning of the verse. Because you, God, forgive us, this is why we fear you, because now we have to start giving back, doing tshuva, and becoming a good person. But the good news is that on Yom Kippur, God forgives us, and God gives us another opportunity to live good lives, both physically and spiritually. Have an easy fast and a good Yom Kippur.